Hello and welcome along to another episode of this FM20 Dorking Wanderers story with me, Daniel. The One Club series taking them from the lowest playable league to the top, and having reached the Premier League for the first time this season, we're back for transfer deadline day and a big game away at Everton. Since the last episode we have fallen away slightly and we'll talk about that in a moment. Our form's starting to struggle, but we did get a crucial result in our last game and we're now just 7 away from that mighty 40 mark that should keep us in the Premier League for a second year. Second season syndrome still a thing to worry about in the future, but for now there are just so many positives at the club. So a big window we've had already, not so much on the ins, that's been a bit calmer than usual, but getting rid of a bit of the excess in the squad, accepting some offers that were just too good to refuse for backup players. We've got a few bits of news on that front as well, and we'll obviously play this big game against Europa League chasing Everton, and I'm sure that's going to be a tough one on the road again. Form that we've struggled with recently just across the board, it's going to make things a bit harder for us. But firstly, before we go and look at that and go through transfer deadline day, a big thank you to everyone who's following our first Premier League season. I really do appreciate your ongoing support with it. If you are looking forward to this one, please put a thumbs up on the video. It does make such a difference. We'll of course see how we get on in a tough run of games now. We've got Arsenal away after that, but then starts the bread and butter. Sheffield United, Aston Villa, Derby, all sides in and around our section of the table. Although Derby, a really good side in this game now, so we've got to bear those things in mind as well. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel for daily FM20 content. We started the new season of The Head Coach yesterday, again our first one at the elite level in that series as well, and we had a massive live stream transfer special on Tuesday, so a big thanks if you did pop along for that one, and you can catch up with a full stream replay in the eye above if you didn't. It's transfer deadline day, we're going to take part, and we're going to see how we get on throughout the day. I'm not planning to really do any big work in terms of ins. I've been looking for a left back on and off, haven't really found anyone. I bid for this young right back, but he wasn't good enough, so we're not taking that gamble either. It's more going to be, are we going to get a big offer for a backup? We've already had a couple this window, and a couple have left the club as a result, and I think we've also got one signing. So let's go and meet those lads. Transfer history, one player coming in. So it's actually a player we'd pre-agreed a deal for in the summer. So he was going to join us when his contract expired at Celtic. But when we found out we could get him for $450,000, we felt we had to take that opportunity up. And that man is Jamie O'Neill. He's already made 3 appearances for the club. He's a 20-year-old Scottish striker, just turned it a few days ago. Plays for the under-21s on a relatively cheap wage, worth $2.5 million already, and has 4.5 star potential. Was 5 when he joined. He's got a decent personality, he's got all the right attributes. He's quick, he's a good finisher, very strong first touch, decent off the ball, works hard and fairly composed. Anticipates things, I mean he's got everything. He fits into the tactic, he can play off the 2 wide areas and in the number 10 role. So I mean he's got a chance to make appearances in all positions, and I'm hoping he's going to improve quite quickly. He's been playing for Celtic before, a massive club obviously north of the border, so we just have to see if he can do the same again here. But what that arrival has meant is that we could accept an offer for someone else. And that man is Fraser Katli, £11.5 million to Shakhtar Donetsk. Let's not forget he joined us 18 months ago on a free agent deal, having been released by Leeds. He came in as our backup striker in the Championship and was forced to play as Brendan Lindsay picked up injuries. He scored over 20 league goals, helped lead us to the title, and even got 2 off the bench in the Premier League, as well as a number in the cup games, 4 in 6. A real star performer for us in his 18 months. But he was falling down the pecking order. He was going to be level with Jamie O'Neill, probably behind by the end of the season. And when Shakhtar came calling for $11.5 million, no contribution to the wages, nothing else at all, we couldn't reject it. What a deal it's been, what a player he was for us, and he'll certainly be remembered fondly. I'm sure he'll break into the Ireland squad, he's earning life-changing money. I mean, everything's right for him and the club, so fair play to him for that. We also sold Joe Thompson. We mentioned he was refusing to sign a new deal. Didn't really give us any option. So £3.3 million, not quite his value, but Leeds have taken him on. He's played for us 21 times. He had a really decent second spell actually. Don't forget we had him years and years ago. Disappointed a bit in League One, had average seasons. But when he was needed last year, he was brilliant. And off the bench this season and in the Cups, he was something else. Was really crucial to some of those Cup runs to the quarter-final in the last 2 years. And again, we signed him for 180,000. We sold him for 3.3 million. What a wonderful deal again. And it means that over the season, we've not actually spent that much more. and that's largely due to recouping money for some of these players. We've also loaned out one of the youngsters, Shane Bennett, just to see if he can improve. He'll probably get sold on in the summer. So a good window for us in terms of outs, backup players going for big astronomical fees, and one player coming in who's going to be a big star in the future. In terms of the left wing replacing Joe Thompson, Daniel Howarth completed his loan spell at Vancouver. He's come back and he's now on the bench as the backup left winger. 2.5 ability, 3.5 potential, and if he can be worth lots of money and be sold on, then what a player for the future. But a bit different in the sense he plays off his right foot, so he likes to cut in as an inside forward. We've had it on the right with Tordoff and a couple of others, so let's see if it works on the left with Howarth. Won't be playing ahead of Aaron White most of the time, but will play this Saturday because White's parent club is Everton, of course, and he won't be eligible to play. We have extended his loan for a further year. We weren't expecting to be able to do so. So Aaron White will be here till the end of next season. Is that his fourth in a row on loan? Third or fourth? Fourth in a row next season. He's currently in his third year here. Back up the first year, sort of second half of the season, did okay. And then he became a superstar. Not had the strongest year in the Premier League this year, but just adapting and improving now, and has still been one of the better attacking performers. Ryan Lima's just hit an awful patch of form. I'm really a little bit puzzled by him, to be honest. He started awfully, obviously, missing those 2 penalties, of which Michael Stropper's missed 2 now as well. So Lima's back on penalty taking duties. But he's just had a poor sort of month. He's not really done anything. He's not trained as well as before. I'm a little bit puzzled by it, but hopefully that'll be resolved. We'll give him till the end of the season, and if we can make our money back, we might have to go for Zach Council again. But let's very quickly go through transfer deadline day, see if there's any big news, and we'll be back to reflect on our results after that. Well, here's an early tester. An offer for Michael Stropper from Leicester. I mean, he's a good keeper. Ben Barrett's not a huge amount worse, so I'm not going to be devastated if he leaves the club, but I'm certainly not letting him go for 10 million. So let's try and double basically everything. 15 up front, 5 in future, and we'll do 50% of the next sell on. They're going to withdraw, but it might mean a bigger offer later in the day. So Michael Stropper's not happy. He said we rejected an acceptable bid. Now, we'd agreed with him that we'd sell him for 15 million, albeit I tried to get a bit more there. But they only offered 10 million, so that doesn't really make any sense. Asking price 15.5, that's what we'd agreed. The finances weren't right, so I don't understand that at all. We made a promise, we made an agreement, it wasn't met, so I didn't sell him. But as it is, he's now unhappy. Good old January transfer window, our best players being tapped up and then being made unhappy. Hopefully it won't affect our form too much the rest of this year. What's going on here? It's 1:30 and our director of football, out of nowhere this month, has made an offer for Seppi Verstraeten from Rangers, £20 million. I mean, firstly, what's Lewis Hone doing? He's not made an offer all month. His attributes have come on brilliantly. He's been our director of football since the National League. What a man he's been. In fact, the National League South, our second season. But let's have a look at who he's put in a bid for. He's a good Belgian player. He's an international. But he's not rated that highly. And he's not good enough to start for us. So why on earth would we pay that amount of money for him? What a stupid man to make an offer for. Wants to be by far the highest paid player at the club. That's not happening, I'm afraid. A really weird moment, that. We haven't seen that all month. But Lewis Hone trying to bolster the squad, it seems. Well, we're heading towards the close of the day now. We're into the evening and we've got some more weird offers. Kyle Brown as a loan player. He's actually been involved quite recently in the first team. He's really improving here. And I don't know that I want to sell him, to be honest. I mean, it's an offer for a loan deal to go to Huddersfield, who are right at the bottom end of the Championship. I mean, I reckon he could do better than that anyway. And Lewis Hone's made another offer. This player I know, Liam Delap, we talked about him back in the League One days. He was such a good player. 3.5-star ability striker at 27. I mean, he's got all the right attributes to be involved in the squad. But is this the sort of time to sign a 27-year-old who's been playing in League Two for years? Started really his professional career at Luton. And he wants to be one of the top paid players again as a squad player. No. I mean, Lewis Hone's been making some weird offers. Normally he's very rarely got involved. And when he has in the past, it's been good offers. And he's doing so again. A 30-year-old for 10 million. That's nothing to do with how we work. He's coming from a club over in Spain. A second division team. His scout report's awful, so why on earth are we signing him anyway? This has been a really weird day. Let me know what you think, because Lewis Hone is making some bizarre offers. He's got all the right attributes to be doing something special here, and he's just not producing it at all. So we'll reject negotiating terms with this guy as well when it comes through. Again, wants to be one of the highest paid players at the club. Wants to be a regular starter. There's some very strange goings on today. The Premier League does lead to some weird things. You get linked with all sorts of players, you get all sorts of deals going on. We're not actually linked with anyone on this screen here. Colin Petrucci's linked with going out. Otherwise, there's no one linked coming in. As a young goalkeeper at Southampton who everyone seems to want, we did have a little look at him earlier this year. And also in terms of the scouting I was going to show you, we've got some really good players on there, but none that are really right for us. So the one at the top of the list is this Jake Cleverley. He could join the club, but he's a right midfielder. Can't really play in the advanced role. And although he's natural in centre midfield, he's not quite got the adaptability for a certain role. The same as this Schettino, who's a brilliant central midfielder from Brighton in the Championship. But he wants more money than we can afford. He's on 60 grand a week. Our best player's on 45 grand. I mean, we can't do that for players who are going to be good first teamers and nothing else. For us to break the wage structure now, like we did with Lima and Nunes in the summer, it has to be a top class player who's going to improve the first 11. And these guys aren't really doing that. So as a result, we haven't made bids because the transfer market's silly and there's not really anyone who can improve us. Some of the wages there are scary. And that means that we're unlikely to do any business. So 5.5 hours to go. And unless Lewis Hone improves his scouting remarkably, I think it's going to be a very quiet deadline day here at Dorking. Well, deadline day is over, and I think that's officially the first transfer deadline day in either series on FM20, or from any of the series actually, because even if you include the network ones and the beta save, that is the first one where we have not made a signing or a sale. The players that we're getting bid for were very bizarre from the director of football. Some of the offers we got to get rid of players were a bit strange. But as it is, Stropper was the only one at risk of going, and it never really came close. So we're going to skip ahead to Sunday, where we face Everton in the Premier League. We'll look at our recent results since the last episode and how we're getting on the Premier League table. Back for kick-off, the second of a Super Sunday, following a Manchester United demolition of Sheffield United. We head to Everton, who are looking to cement a Europa League place. If we have a look at the table at the moment, we're in 11th. There's that nice little 6-point cushion down to Villa next. It's almost like a half and half table, with 13 clear of the relegation zone. We look fairly safe, but let's just get those 7 points as quick as possible. Everton, 6 points above us. They win today, they go up with City in 5th place. I mean, that's brilliant from them. And they've got a very good team, so I'd expect it to be a tough test. But let's start by having a look at the schedule to see how we've been getting on since you were last with me. We obviously played Everton just after the Liverpool episode last time, so let's have a look how we got on there. We played the double-header against Liverpool, lost 4 and 5-0, then Everton beat us 3-1 at our own ground. Ryan Lima scored a consolation goal, probably the last time he had a good game, I think. We were 3 down at half-time and it was looking awful. A 2-2 draw away at Hull in the FA Cup, Jack Walker nicking us a replay late on. We were terrible in this game, Cotleo managed to get us out of jail too. Before a 2-1 Premier League win at Birmingham. A crucial game, a crucial goal. Michael Stropper with a 91st minute penalty. The keeper getting us 3 points and a big one at that. Cole Boyce got a goal for us in the first half. It was cancelled out, but again, story of 2 penalties, but both went in and we nicked it 2-1. We then played Hull in a replay and form continued. Kyle Brown with 2 goals from the set pieces. Alan Tordoff scored a fantastic strike as well. All was looking good at this point. Jamie O'Neill made his debut there as well. Before a 1-0 defeat at Manchester United, Michael Stropper missing a penalty, Ruben Neves scoring his. Another game where it was a tale of 2 penalties, and this time we came out the losers. Has happened more often than not this year. And then at home to Leicester, the same happened again. A story of 1 penalty that was missed by Michael Stropper. We didn't deserve to win it, we were outclassed from start to finish, but we should have won it 1-0 because of that penalty. So Ryan Lima's back on duties now, and if he starts missing again, I've no idea what we do. But that, unfortunately, was the second of 3 games in a row we didn't score, and it was because the backup team got battered by Championship West Brom in the FA Cup. We were appalling. We brought 3 first teamers on with about half an hour to go to try and save the day, but none of them really made an impact. Although somewhere, out of the blue 4 days later, we managed to then go and beat Tottenham. We were 1-0 down on the stroke of half-time, Tottenham probably just the better side, and we came flying out the traps. Peter McLaughlin scored a good goal, Martin Prescott won goal of the month from dribbling in his own half, skinning 4 or 5. Do you know what, it was almost like the Henry goal against Tottenham. Ran round the whole team, put it in the corner, and Martin Prescott wins goal of the month against his former club. I think his 5th league goal of the year. Not the best return rate, but he's improving quickly now. So I'm hoping as that goes on throughout the season, he continues to train well, he continues to improve, he'll build his confidence and start scoring more freely. If he can get himself to sort of 9 or 10, it's not a bad first year, but we do need him to be informed to do that. Today, as we already discussed, Aaron White will be missing. Against his parent club, he cannot play. Everton have a few injuries, but despite that, they are heavy favourites. So let's go and pick our 11, and we'll be back in a moment to run through it. Here we go then. Still a few youngsters in the squad we weren't able to get out on loan, namely Wheatley, Pilkington and Allison, although Wheatley does make the bench today. White's replaced by Howarth on the left as we mentioned. He'll come as an inside forward. We'll change that once we get into the match. But aside from that, it's a very predictable 11 now. Both goalkeepers unhappy, but Stropper the first choice. He starts today. We've taken him off penalty duties as we mentioned though. Lewis James and Kane Allen the fullbacks, with Walker and Baker the centre-halves. Boyce and Nunes continuing in midfield. We've now changed Nunes to a central midfielder on attack, just as Porteous was last year, and we've dropped to a balanced mentality. So probably a bit more what we're used to, and his rating has slightly increased in the last 2 games since. Lima's on the right wing. We need him to get back to form. McLaughlin and Howarth complete the midfield 3, and then up front is Prescott on his own. Fresh from his Goal of the Month award and fresh from ending his goal drought. Can he get another one today, or will it be back to a defeat on the road? Well, we've been matched up by Everton here, and the first thing that strikes me is what an ageing squad they must have, because nearly all the players are ones who were there at the start of the game 12 years ago. We're talking about Jamal Lewis at left back. We obviously had him at Newcastle in FM19's head coach, and he was an unbelievable player for us. So make sure you go back and catch up with that story if you haven't seen it. What a player he was there. But at Norwich at the start of the game, now around 30 presumably. We've got the same with Moussa Dembele on the right wing. Dele Alli up front, that's a bit unusual. Angel Gomez off the left, the un-United one. Declan Rice in the middle, Dominguez 2. Diakabi centre-half. There's so many of them. A couple of young regens, but that's about it. Otherwise, a very good experienced squad. Almost like back to the David Moyes days. Buying experienced players, building a good side and getting good results. They're up in those Europa League places, and I'm sure the Everton fans are happy with how they're going. But early on, it is an Everton corner. Gomez in. Oh, it's just over from Declan Rice. That was a little bit too easy, and it's cause for concern in the opening minutes. 5 gone, it's all Everton corners at the moment. Gomez with an outswinger this time. Headed away by Baker, and Howarth flicks on, which reminds me I haven't actually set him as an inside forward yet. But here comes Prescott down the left on the counter. In the mood for special goals at the minute. He's beaten 2, he's into the box, gets to the byline, it's a good tackle. Maybe just held on to it a bit too long. But we like the courage at the moment. It's something we haven't seen early in the season, and he's starting to get that confidence now. Here's Baker at centre-half, all the way back to the keeper, and I've no idea how we've managed to let that peter out. The ball forward is poor from Stropper. Dembele puts it through. Gomez in off the left, and it's a good save, Stropper. He does well to get down to his right, but they never should have been able to get a chance from that. Daniel Howarth switches to the inside forward, and it looks like we're going to be watching more Everton corners. This one we don't see, but yet to have a shot on target, and Everton have been by far the better side. Gerardo with a short goal kick. Out to the right back, Gavrilov coming forward for the home team. He's got 2 inside him, but goes back to Dominguez, the safe option for now. Into Renier, the number 10. Lovely switch of play, but Lewis James intercepts and finds Ryan Lima. Back to James, safe option again. But down the line he goes to McLaughlin. Now he's produced a few moments of magic recently, and he's on for one here. He's running the length. Went for it from 30 yards. I thought for a moment he was going to do something spectacular, but it dribbled wide. It was a poor, tame effort, and it remains 0-0 with 15 gone at Goodison. Free kick for Everton, 20 on the clock now. Gomez delivers, Dembele's there, and he does what he's been doing his whole career. Moussa Dembele with 22 gone, and he heads in for 1-0 Everton. Not the best marking, we get done at the back post too often. But otherwise, it's been a pretty deserved lead, and we're yet to have a shot on target, so we have nothing we can complain about. 10 to the break, Jamal Lewis on the left. It's still all Everton here. We just have that weird inconsistency. On the road, we're starting to struggle immensely. Though we did beat Birmingham randomly at the start of the month. I know they're bottom of the league, but they've got multiple games in hand, and they were a decent side that day. But Jamal Lewis crosses Dembele again. I mean, it's dribbling around all over the place. I think he hit the bar, the keeper, ran across the line. He got the rebound at the keeper too. Stropper keeps it out eventually, but with 5 to the break, I mean, we don't even look like we can get a goal here, let alone get a result. Dominguez makes it look like it's going to be a matter of time. He is mastering the midfield area. And there's Rice to Dele Alli. Out to the right to Gavrilov, has looked very good, the right fullback. And he's getting to the byline unopposed here. Howarth not quite doing the same. And Dele Alli has a free header. The two centre-halves part, and it's so easy. Everton lead 2-0, and the woes against Merseyside teams continue. 3 fixtures before this, 3 heavy defeats, and it looks like it's going to be a 4th today. Half-time, 2-0 Everton, and they deserve nothing less from this performance so far. We're going to talk to the lads. I mean, Nick Haycock wants to say we're pleased, but we've been crap. We really have been rubbish, so I'm going to say it's terrible. The lads are motivated, and we have to hope they respond. But immediately we're back with an Everton corner, and I don't know that going attacking is going to help here. Normally I would, and it would make a difference, but it's 3-0 already, and chasing the game is pointless now. It's Moussa Dembele at the back post from a set piece again, and he has had an absolute field day against us. 3-0 Everton, Dorking are struggling, and that slide down the table looks like it's continuing. Thankfully, we're just about picking up enough results. That Birmingham one and Tottenham one, sort of averaging 2 in every 7 or 8, and it should just be enough and give us that 40 points this season. But it's been a worrying trend since the first 10. Here's Dembele again. He's running around the whole team again. Back to Dominguez. Oh my, Michael Stropper. Couldn't even get the word out. What on earth are you doing? It's straight down the middle at him and he's palmed it in. Oh, you can tell the unhappiness has caught up with him. He never makes mistakes like that. We're going to ask the lads to show some passion. It's been woeful. But with an hour gone, we're 4-0 down. And the form of Stropper, combined with the fact that he's unhappy and Ben Barrett is too, really is a worry for the rest of the year. Daniel Howarth's had an awful game on the left. I haven't really got any other options, so it's going to be Jamie O'Neill as an inside forward. And aside from that, it's just about getting youngsters football. So Porteous will come on for Nunes, who's anxious. And then at right back, Petrucci on for James. It's damage limitation at this point. I've no idea where this has come from. A good performance against Tottenham, a decent display. But Moussa Dembele has run rings round us today. I mean, he's a very good player there at 34. He's got all the mental and technical attributes. But physically, looking at that, he shouldn't be leaping above people. And that's the most concerning thing. He's been given space in the box and he's a brilliant striker. You can't do that. But here's Carl Boyce, long ball forward, headed away by Everton, but only as far as Prescott. He's got Lima up in support, but he's trying to go alone. He's done it for the second time today. It's getting a little bit greedy now. His shot from 30 yards, yes, our first on target, but not good enough to test the keeper properly. We're coming to the final minutes. It's 4-0 to Everton. And to be honest, it probably could have been more. Yes, we've had a few shots late on, but they've not been worthy of being seen on camera. And goal difference is something we're going to have to worry about now. A heavy defeat, a poor performance, some worrying signs. Maybe we should have gone big for one of them players. Maybe we should have tried. We're going to say unlucky, boys. We need to keep the morale up. Well, we're starting to slide down the league, and we need to hope that 3 of those sides below us stay on a really poor run. Because although it's only 7 points away and we've got 13 games to do it, 40 is seeming a long stretch at the moment. Now, I'm trying to bear in mind in my head that we're playing a lot of the higher ranked teams. We've got a lot of the relegation strugglers at the end of the year. But if we come into them in bad form and they've picked up 2 or 3 results, that could be the worst thing for us. So definitely some worrying signs. The goal difference is creeping down towards Villa's level. But we've still got a buffer of about 12 till we get to the next worst. And that's how we have to keep it here. So a big month or 2 coming up on this series. We cannot afford to get dragged into a relegation battle. With the money we've invested in the summer, we can't afford to go down. And we've seen teams slide from this position so often in the past, and we need to make sure it doesn't happen here. So we're going to come back about halfway between now and the end of the season. Don't forget, we've got that youth intake to look forward to as well. Potentially a good crop of youngsters and 1 or 2 stars. That's all I've needed this whole series. The first time that we've been told to expect something. So that's something definitely to look forward to next time. And we'll also come back for 2 massive games at the bottom. Watford and Bournemouth. Watford are 16th, on level on points with the relegation zone. Bournemouth are that team in 18th place. So if we can get results there, we'll be safe. If we can get results before, we'll probably be safe. But on the form at the moment, that's going to be hard to come by. But if you did enjoy this episode, that awful performance, and that relatively good transfer window before it, please do put a thumbs up on the video. A mix of emotions from the last month or so, but overall, it's still been a very good position to be in, and we would have taken this at the start of the season for sure. A tough game against Arsenal, but then we get back to the bread and butter, and hopefully we can get 1 or 2 more results before the next one. But I hope you'll come and join me to see if we can survive. Let me know in the comments what you think of the squad, what you think of the January transfer window action. Cotleo going, a bit of a gamble, he's a goal scorer, but surely the money was too good to refuse. Let me know what you thought of that performance as well. We're going to get to working on defending set pieces in training. I very rarely override the assistant, but this week I feel like I have to. Subscribe to the channel for daily FM20 content from both of my long-term stories. Then on Sunday, our 2 new series continue. The FM20 network career is a massive one in that one. If you haven't been up to date yet, please do check it out. It's probably one of my biggest games of FM20 though. I'll have my guest co-host there as well, so please do come and pop along for that one. And then at 4:30, the Stadium Review Series 2, talking about real football for the first time. So if you're a football fan, hopefully you'll enjoy that as well. Thank you for all your support this week with the new season of The Head Coach, the live stream from that transfer window too, and with this season in the Premier League. And hopefully I'll see you next time for 2 relegation 6-pointers, as we can just about wrap up survival early on here.